This NFL Draft Props Picks 1 through 10 edition of the Sports Gambling Podcast is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Play their fantasy pick'em for a chance to win 100x in NBA, golf, MLB, MMA, NHL, and more. Sign up today using promo code SGPN to get a 100% deposit match. Plus, the NFL Draft is coming up, and Old Fashioned Football is giving away some autographed NFL merch. Head to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/OFF contest to enter today.
Hey everybody, Joe Theismann here. You're listening to SGPN. So do this, let it ride.
Long, Cox.
He's one of those guys who will get penetration.
Welcome everyone to the Sports Gambling Podcast. I'm Sean, stacking the money green with my partner in picks, Ryan, Real Money Kramer. What's happening, Kramer?
Dog.
As I hear Joe say, "Now do this," before he says, let it ride," I think about all the positive things he said about Zach Wilson before the draft.
He was in on Zach Wilson.
Big time. Big time. We never got him back on to talk about
Zach Wilson almost beat the Chiefs, Ryan. Zach Wilson. Have you completely given up on Zach Wilson? He's so young. I don't know why he's intriguing. As far as guys that are obviously kind of cooked, Zach Wilson would be higher on my list than some. Like I would rather have Zach Wilson than Sam Darnold.
I mean, yeah, but you understand why Sam Darnold is going to keep getting chances forever. Because in the right structure with the play action and
no, I get it. I'm just saying, like,
read.
if you're digging through the scrap heaps of guys who might have massive upside, Zach Wilson is actually a guy worth taking a shot on if you believe in your system.
I don't think he has the arm talent though. I think
Zach Wilson.
I don't think I think every once in a while you see a throw, but I think the inconsistencies.
Oh yeah,
exist, and in the NFL, you can't be a little bit inconsistent, let alone a lot. So yeah, I mean, I had a Sam Darnold MVP ticket last year, Sean. Yes. I still would take Sam Darnold before I took Zach Wilson.
Really?
I don't think Zach Wilson strikes me as an out of the league kind of guy, right? He's sad. He has no confidence.
I think
he's talking to other teams saying he's being mistreated. He's trying to file OSHA complaints. I mean,
no, that you're confusing him with Mac Jones. Yeah, Mac Jones. I would rather have Zach Wilson than Mac Jones. I think Zach Wilson.
Oh well, that's a much easier question because they both.
I think
suck.
Zach Wilson in the perfect system to me still has some upside.
I mean, if the question is who's more likely to win an NFL game between Sam Darnold and Zach Wilson, it's Sam Darnold by a mile.
Who's more likely to take their team to the playoffs and win a game?
Sam
to
Darnold
me, it's Zach
by
Wilson.
a mile. Sam Darnold by a mile.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I guess it's the much safer thing, but I still think Zach Wilson has a much higher ceiling than Sam Darnold. Ryan,
based on what though?
What do you mean?
Just being the second pick?
Just having amazing throws, being only on the Jets in your career.
Well, Sam Darnold kind of started the same way.
Sam Darnold's failed at multiple places though.
It's fair.
Jets, Panthers.
I don't know.
He's already got. I'm saying he got his. We've already seen him outside of the Jets universe, and he still sucked. I'd like to see Zach Wilson outside the Jets universe.
Those stories about the Jets being the only team that were going to draft Zach Wilson that year are pretty interesting. I don't know. He strikes me as a guy who just broke. Like, remember when we saw Manny Pacquiao's head hit the mat, and we're like, all right, he's never going to fight again. Zach, he kind of was the pull the wool over the eyes draft prospect. He found a bad situation and he broke very quickly. I would be highly shocked. I'd be less surprised. I mean, to me, he's like Johnny Football. Like once it ends, it ends. Like he's not fighting his way back. He's too he doesn't want to play that bad. He has the Josh Rosen problem.
Yeah, I guess we won't know. He's still in the Jets. All right, we got a lot to get to. We are going.
We need to start a free Zach Wilson movement.
No, if he's off the Jets, I'm intrigued.
Please trade him to the Eagles for nothing. Just get him on the team.
I mean, would I have? Would I? I mean,
Oh, anyone, any team, but Eagles, so you have more focus on it.
yeah.
I'd
I mean,
rather have Marcus Mariota than Zach Wilson.
Okay, so I disagree. I would rather have Zach Wilson than Tanner McKee or Will Grier.
I'd rather have a number of quarterbacks in the UFL over Zach Wilson.
Now you're talking crazy,
right? Lindsey Scott Jr. Are you kidding me? You've seen the wiggle on this kid.
You'd rather have Chase Garbers than Zach Wilson?
Not all of them.
Okay.
A couple of them.
All right, we got a lot to get to. We're gonna walk through the draft picks 1 through 10, and there are markets of like, hey, what are the odds this guy gets picked at 5? What are the odds he gets picked at 6? It's just a fun way to kind of keep adding to the draft portfolio, Ryan.
The media is listening though, so just to be clear, this is not your official mock draft.
It's not my official NFL mock draft because again, mock draft, I'm going for the most likely scenarios, in my mind. So it would lend yourself to be really chalky. But I think again, we keep stressing this far out. I think you got to grab a couple of these plus odd ones. You just because there's still so much unknown, and especially in the back half, like that 4 through 10, or even 3 through 10, where trade ups are possible. The variance is huge, and variance is good for dogs, right? As we know.
Oh, I mean, it's the same. This is like the multiverse equation, right? Like think about all the various the multitude of combinations that can be created by one different domino going down.
And the NFL mock draft database is actually a really good tool because it just like it combines all the NFL mock drafts into one handy database, and it walks through. So it'll be Caleb Williams, number 1 at the Bears, mock draft popularity 99%.
Who's the 1%?
Yeah, Ryan was. You never know. But then,
I have the same take on it.
Okay,
they're still offering odds.
That's true.
They have not taken it off the board.
I guess
someone like Fezzik could roll in with $100,000.
Him pulling an Eli Manning and refusing to play for the team that had him selected
after he got the play, after he's seen the playbook and hung out with Keenan Allen.
He saw the playbook. He's like, nah, fuck this. I'm out.
Keenan Allen, a vet, is not going to his pro day just to hang out.
And his, I actually have a little inside information. I was talking to his nail lady, and apparently Ryan, crimson and gold. He was getting his nails painted crimson and gold. So look out.
Is that USC?
Well, or is it the Commanders?
Oh, interesting. Easy transition for him.
Yes.
Won't have to change those shades.
All right. We also have this week's edition of Real Men of Degens. We'll get to that. That's brought to you by Old Fashioned Football. That's right. The podcast on our network, J. Mark Miranda. They are giving away some autographed merch to celebrate the NFL draft. We're talking about JSN, Travis Etienne, J.K. Dobbins, Frank Gore, many, many more. Old Fashioned Football. Come for the football, stay for the whiskey. Go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/OFF contest to get started today. And here we go. This week's edition of Real Men of Degens.
SGPN presents Real Men of Degens.
Real Men of Degens.
We salute you.
Juju Smith-Schuster made news today. I'll read the headline from hotnewhiphop.com. Juju Smith-Schuster baffles fans by posting his private parts on Snapchat. Josh, if you have the photo that he posted, we can track that down. Of course, they blur it out, but it's just basically him in a car with a girlfriend situation in the driver's seat.
It's very
holding
unclear.
up the phone, taking a photo, and then all-time great tweet by Tyreek Hill, aka Cheetah, following up on it. I want to make sure.
Cheetah.
I want to make sure I get it a verbatim quote. I get back on Twitter and first thing I see is Juju got to deal with Vienna sausages. Oh man!
Wow. I mean, the fact that he knows what a Vienna sausage is makes me smile. Secondly, that is cold blooded.
Very cold blooded, and
Tyreek Hill. I mean, first of all, the physics of being a short, fast man and also having a huge dong. I mean, it's got to be cold when the short guy comes after you for your dick size. That's not a good feeling. Tyreek Hill's the shortest guy in the league.
Yeah. Well, also it's pretty funny too that Belichick's. This is the first Belichick off season for the Patriots.
Oh boy.
He was thinking about doing this before, and when Bill Belichick was there, and he's like, no, I'm gonna wait.
No.
Now that Gerard Mayo is here,
You don't think this was a phone hack? Maybe his phone got hacked. I don't know.
Oh, okay. Yeah, his phone got hacked.
They got hacked, and then he took this awkward picture of a girl sitting next to him on a phone while his dick's hanging out of his pants.
That he posted himself.
He posted.
It's
he got hacked. It was a hack that posted it.
The hackers.
He took the picture, but he didn't mean to post it to Snapchat.
All right, Ryan, let's get into the draft props before we do. Shout out to Game Time. Maybe you want to go check out, see some of these NBA play-in games. Maybe go check out some MLB. Maybe you want to see the UFL. I'm just kidding. No one wants to see the UFL. But GameTime.co. Use the promo code SGPN. Get yourself hooked up. $20 off when you set up your account. Love Game Time. So many ways to save. They got the zone deals, the flash deals. They got you covered. Download the Game Time app and get started. Promo code SGPN or go to GameTime.co. Kramer, first pick of the draft. We're both locked in on Mr. Caleb Williams. Anything to add here?
I mean, I know you keep poo-pooing it, but I feel like they should take this off the board. Are they just leaving it here to catch people betting on someone else?
Yeah. I mean, what else?
It's like dragging a net behind your boat. Just see what we catch.
Yeah. Why would they not? If people are dumb enough to bet on stuff besides Caleb Williams,
who's your favorite other pick that's not Caleb Williams? I mean, you have Spencer Rattler on here. You have Blake Corum. What are you trying to get their parents to bet on him? Hey, look, I bet on
Dallas Turner.
All right. So no, but would you put 10 grand to win 100? It's free money. It's not even a good rate of return.
Yeah, actually 10 grand for what, an hour or
yeah, that's true. How long do you think you have to, when do you think they take it off?
That's probably like an hour before. So 10 grand, $100 for 1 hour of liquidity locked up. I'm in.
It's a 1% return.
All right, so minus 10,000. Not much.
Lock it in. That's going to be my lock of the show.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Ryan.
I think 2 is fairly safe to say.
Ooh, is it though? Because
I think it is.
All right, so we both like Jaden Daniels. I think right now you can get it at minus 275. I do. Drake May at plus 215. I don't think is crazy, but I still think as far as stuff where it's. I mean, why are we so locked in on Jaden Daniels? It does seem like the consensus.
People who are close to the team, people who have historically been close to the team, people who are, I mean, so I saw 2 things that were compelling to me. One, strictly just kind of perusing through the mock drafts, perusing through the beat reporter takes.
Yeah.
And it does seem like the beat is starting to consolidate on the idea that they had not made a decision until very recently, but that decision does seem to be made, and that decision seems to be Jaden Daniels.
Yeah, and if you ask people in the league, it's Caleb Williams 1A, Jaden Daniels 1B by all accounts. Now, maybe the Commanders fall in love with him. There was that little bit of a nugget out there that they wanted to trade Sam Howell because they were buddies at UNC and they didn't want to make things weird when they drafted Drake May. But I don't know.
That actually makes less sense.
What do you mean?
Like I mean, I think regardless, you want to get rid of a guy, the incumbent. I think we saw the Bears do this, but I think if he has a previous relationship, unless you know that relationship to be sour, that can almost be a helpful thing. Like they've been on a team before and operated as 1 and 2.
I mean, I will also say this. I wouldn't have, if I was the Commanders, I wouldn't have traded Sam Howell. I would have kept him. Like he's still in a rookie deal. He's shown I mean, he had a few good games last year and you got him on a nice cost control contract. Like I wouldn't have.
I agree with you. I don't get that. I mean, quarterback assets are the most valuable thing in the league. To have one that you trust to come into a game.
I mean,
that's why you get Drew Lock. That's why you go out and get Drew Lock.
Yeah, but then you're paying him a veteran salary. Why would you get rid of Sam Howell? He's a competent backup.
Oh yeah, but I mean, Drew Lock's like $5 million. Drew Lock's like dirt cheap.
Right, but I mean,
what do you think Sam Howell's salary is?
You're right. It's probably somewhat similar, but
yeah, it's your point. I agree.
I would even take Sam Howell maybe over Drew Lock. Like I think it's close. I don't like
985.
I don't like Marcus Mariota better than Sam Howell. And you didn't really get much for him. I think they kind of punted on him way too early. Now you got Jeff Driscoll, Jake Fromm. I mean, I get it. You're drafting your guy, but still, like Sam Howell was a guy that won some games. He came back against.
I'm
the
sorry.
Eagles.
Did you say Jake Fromm?
Yeah, like I just
he was the author of the third down QB sneak. Remember that?
So we both like Jaden Daniels minus 275.
I would be surprised if
I don't think anything else is viable except maybe Drake May
or JJ McCarthy.
Yeah, JJ McCarthy's 7-1. I don't think
it's definitely a quarterback though, right?
I would say this. I think Drake May, there could be a bidding war where people would be incentivized to trade up. The Drake May scenario is if New England loves Drake May and they're worried that Commanders are going to take him. And maybe they trade up one. I don't know. I still don't see it. And at JJ McCarthy at number 2 doesn't make sense because I think there's been no buzz about the Commanders like in JJ McCarthy. He doesn't seem to fit at all with that coaching staff. If you're trading up for JJ McCarthy, you're not going to trade up to the 2 spot. So even at 7-1, I have I struggle to find a scenario where I get there.
So you don't think you don't think anyone's trading up here either?
To 2, if it is, maybe it's to get Drake May, or again, maybe it is to get.
I feel like the tone on Drake May is getting worse, not getting better. I mean, I don't know. It's just talking head stuff, but I feel like we're now circling back to a second round of gonna need a year, footwork, accuracy, where you're not hearing a ton of negative stuff about JJ McCarthy. You're hearing tons of positive on Jaden Daniels.
I feel like I'm hearing a ton of negative stuff on JJ McCarthy.
Oh, it's probably more normalization because he popped all the way up, and I'm with you. I think we'll get to it, but I do think we'll see.
Well, I think if there is a trade up for 2, maybe it is the Patriots trading up to the Cardinals, or sorry, to the Commanders
because
they get Jaden Daniels.
We have heard that. We've heard the Patriots think it's a 2 quarterback class.
But also that obviously could be a bit of a smokescreen. I mean, Will Levis was like favored to go number 2 last year, and a lot of that was that fake Reddit story. Which again, if you're good on Reddit, DM us. We got some plans.
Yeah, I just think this is the lock. I feel fairly confident saying that the top 2 teams are both taking quarterbacks.
Well,
they're both not risking trading down to not get their guy, and so.
Adam Schefter was on a Commanders podcast and did say you're pretty safe getting those Jaden Daniels jerseys, but then he kind of backtracked it a little bit later. It doesn't seem to be, although his original comments on the jerseys definitely moved the market. So shout out to that Commanders podcast, getting some market moving action.
Well, you got to feel good if you locked in some trifecta or superfecta stuff with Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels 1-2, because that now up until recently that hadn't been heavy chalk.
Yeah,
that's probably like a last week development. Pick 3. This is where the draft starts now, Sean.
Yes,
is that fair to say?
Fair to say.
Like your mock draft's probably going to start like this, right?
Probably. Yeah. I mean, well, again,
I don't want to give anything away.
I release it whenever the huddle report, whatever their deadline is. I work up the deadline.
10th version, 11th version.
Nope. I release one version.
Just one.
One version, the most accurate version. You're welcome. I like Drake May at number 3. I think at minus 130, again, one of the few minus odds I think is worth firing on.
He's the favorite, right?
Yes, he is the favorite. But I like it for a number of reasons. One, I think the Patriots drafting Drake May feels pretty good. And then 2, I do think if there is a trade up scenario, it is to get Drake May. Maybe they do it at 3. We'll see. I still believe that the Patriots are in the market for a quarterback. And I think they will select Drake May at number 3 here. So -130. This feels pretty good.
I mean, you talked about the variance earlier, and I think perhaps there's plenty of time for variance to happen, but it does seem like this could be where the variance happens. The Tom Brady coming back to New England rumors are hilariously juicy. I still think the Robert Kraft
baby fucking wheel, man.
I think there's a chance that there's a non-zero chance that they take a quarterback in the second round. And I think that means they would be targeting a receiver in the first round or a trade down.
Okay. But that's the thing, I guess. If they trade down, the person trading up to number 3 is drafting Drake May.
Completely agree.
So,
and so what
I think put it this way. I think Patriots either go quarterback here or they trade down to someone who is getting a quarterback. Drake May, by all accounts, is the best quarterback available. So that's kind of why I'm locking in here at Drake May number 3.
Or there isn't a trade. And just like many years, we get excited about a bunch of movement that doesn't actually happen. And they stand pat and they decide they take Marvin Harrison at 20-1. The closer we get to the draft, the more that I think this could be like, this is one of my,
you're also convincing yourself the Giants are going to get Drake May.
No. What I'm convincing myself
No.
is that this surefire quarterbacks going 1, 2, 3 quarterbacks going 1, 2, 3, 4 is not happening. And that, the more that you read about the way the teams view this crop of receiver talent, and then you get between the lines on what the Patriots seem to think about the second tier of quarterback class. And if there's no trade scenario because no one's coming up, and they don't actually, and they do view it as Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, and then they'd rather just wait, then it would be Marvin Harrison. And again, coming back to that troll job of having Marvin Harrison Sr. have to wear Patriots gear in the stands, stone cold blooded murder. We won't talk about it though, but 20-1. I do like this. This is one of probably my second or third favorite bet that we'll talk about tonight. I'm more and more I'm at least convincing myself in my bubble that quarterback 1-2 lock. I don't know if it's a lock to go quarterback 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, I guess at the price 20-1, I would rather take a long shot on some of the offensive linemen or something like that. I just think where the Patriots are with their roster. Why would you draft a quarterback a receiver number 3 overall before you have your quarterback? That to me just doesn't make sense roster building.
I think if I was betting on what they're going to do, trade down would be the top thing probably.
Right.
But I think at 20-1, I like this price.
Sense. Okay.
And again, I would assume a trade up would be for a quarterback.
Yeah.
But I'm starting to think that I'm not convinced that JJ McCarthy teams are that enamored with him that they would trade up for him. I'm not.
Well, and I guess
I'm not even convinced based on what stuff I'm reading about how some teams feel about Drake May that teams would trade up for him either, based on the need for development, quote unquote.
I don't even know if you're going to go receiver. I don't know if Marvin Harrison Jr. at 20-1 is such a prohibitive favorite over Malik Neighbors at 75-1.
No, and in fact, you're probably right to sprinkle both of those in the scenario I'm describing.
Yeah, if you think they're going to go skill position player, I would definitely try some of the pepper in some of the longer shot stuff there as well. All right, moving over to number 4. That to me is where things really, really get interesting, right? Because a lot of people, if you look at the consensus over on the mock draft database, they have they have Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, Drake May. Drake May is only 44%. Marvin Harrison Jr. is all the way up to 89%. To me, and we were on the Our Lads podcast, had a lot of fun over there. But I also think, the more I talked it out, the more the Cardinals going offensive line to me isn't that crazy. And Ryan, maybe you're right. Maybe Marvin Harrison Jr. does go, or maybe Malik Neighbors goes. Maybe that was the receiver they had their eye on at the 3 spot. Now they're sitting here at 4. You look at this Cardinals offensive line. I think this Cardinals offensive line really could use some help still. And you're trying to build around Kyler. You want to keep Kyler healthy. You want him not to get injured again, and you have Jonathan Gannon coming over from the Philadelphia Eagles. How do the Eagles have their success? They build by spending a lot of draft capital on the offensive line. So I think there is some value in the long shot stuff here at the number 4 spot. It's weird. Marvin Harrison Jr. at -175 is the favorite. Not interested at that price.
No.
McCarthy, JJ McCarthy at +175. That one's tough too, because it's almost like hitting a parlay, right? Because you have to parlay that someone's trading up for JJ McCarthy, and then that they're trading up to get him there at 4.
I think that's a Peter Schrager reaction.
What do you mean?
He put out his latest mock, and it has the quarterbacks top 4.
Yeah, no.
So yeah, and the Giants are a trade up to with the Cardinals.
Yeah, and even Drake May at 6-1. I guess if I was choosing a quarterback, I would like May over McCarthy. But again, unlike Ryan, I don't think the Chargers are in the market for a quarterback. So I don't think you would have to move up to 4 necessarily to get your guy. But then, so I think if you don't think it's Marvin Harrison, why not take some long shots here for the Cardinals? Joe Alt who's the consensus number 1 offensive lineman to get drafted, which again, we'll debate that more as the process goes on. Joe Alt is 50-1.
I think he's the guy that they would take if it is. Yeah,
probably right. But then also I would sprinkle the other guy who is considered like the second guy, Talisa Foaga is Talisa Foaga is 100-1. So I would play a little on Joe Alt and a little on Foaga at 100-1.
Fuaga monster, Oregon State. Go check him out. He's got a sick ass rat tail mullet thing going on.
Oh, he's a great guy. He's going to be fun in the league.
If you want to get excited about him, just watch Baldy break down some of his clips where he's just moving grown ass men. I like this angle. I do think they're more like, to me, this is more likely to draft like the button it up like tackle prospect, aka Joe Alt.
Yeah.
But I see the value in taking the
just in case, because I don't Patriots going Joe Alt to me isn't completely off the board.
And I would say the reason this is such a long, like the reasons the Cardinals could still pull this off without doing it here is they could just use their second pick. It is a deep tackle class. Perhaps do they value the tackles over the receivers? I still do like this price. I like in the reality I've started to create and in the real reality, like to me, this should not be this long.
Yeah.
So in my world, they are taking the receiver. I'm having them go neighbors. I've seen some Cardinals. I've seen a Cardinals beat reporter suggest Odunze. It does seem like the logic behind the trade scenarios here are that there are multiple. It's down to McCarthy, and there are multiple teams that want McCarthy, and the Chargers and the Cardinals are both willing to come down. That's where the trade to 4 could come.
Yeah, you're right.
To your
that
point,
makes
because
sense.
the Chargers, you're right, probably not going after him unless they've already dealt Herbert at this point. And
then it's almost like the Cardinals and the Chargers say like which one's the easier trade up. Yeah.
Well, it's more like, okay, well, if I know Team X is talking to the Chargers, I got to talk to the Cardinals. But the Cardinals, the people that cover the Cardinals will say the Cardinals are not interested in trading down that far. So people have kind of loosely connected those dots. Giants, Cardinals. Trading down with the Giants would allow you to still get one of your elite receiver prospects, which is what they covet, but also would fulfill your scenario as well. If they traded down, they could still potentially be in a situation to take Joe Alt or Fuaga with the pick. So, but I have neighbors. I do think they take the best talent on the board, and I think NFL teams favor neighbors over Odunze. And so again, another 19-1 here. I think another, if the 2 quarterbacks were here at 4, I wonder if someone would be coming up, but I'm holding strong that I'm gonna find that it's not out yet, but I'm taking the under on trades in the top 10. That's something I'm kind of convinced
and also
on.
kind of a coordinated market here. If it is such a smash that the Cardinals are going to take Marvin Harrison at number 4, why have the books not released the Arizona Cardinals which position for them to draft. If it's such a smash that Marvin Harrison is like they haven't listed those prices.
We started talking about this. There's not many teams they've completely left off the board. It is interesting to me, the Cardinals.
Yeah.
I understand they're a bit like, it also tells you that they feel more certain about the top 3 like you than I do. Which, take that information for what you will. But yeah, I think would I be shocked if this is Odunze? No, but yeah, I'll take the long price, and I'd probably bet both receivers. It's more of a fade of Harrison getting to this point. So.
Next up is number 5, currently owned by the Los Angeles Chargers.
For now.
Also, shout out to me. Have to highlight. This is one of my greatest Ryan predictions of all time. When there was that news story, it was like 3 weeks ago of Harbaugh living in an RV. Hey, he's just hanging out. He's living in an RV, and I fired up a group text with Justin Decker and Scott Bowser. This is the kind of stuff we talk about on the group text. Where is Harbaugh living in that RV? And we were breaking it down. We had the discussion going back and forth. I tweeted it out, the screen cap of the conversation. I said Huntington Beach, and that is exactly where he is living his RV. He's parked it on Huntington Beach, Ryan. If only they were offering odds on it somewhere, I would have loved to get down on that market.
I don't know if we talked about this, but there's somewhere on the drive to San Diego where there is like an overlook or a part of a park is named after Harbaugh. I'll have to dig into this a little bit more, but I think Harbaugh is just a rambler. He likes to be a wild man living.
I don't know if you watch the video, Ryan, but it's like the entire Chargers coaching staff. Greg Roman is there, his offensive coordinator. They're sitting there.
Yep.
They're hanging out. They're living in an RV, and they keep saying it's better than any hotel I've been in. Very excited. They're just sitting there hanging out.
He just came from Michigan for 10 years. He's like, this is our office now. We're on the beach.
So I've been beating this drum, Ryan. Of course, I did give out Chargers to on their first draft selection to select a running back. That is 100-1. I wouldn't be surprised if they trade down, but again, we don't know about any trade downs right now. Just at the 5 spot, Mock Draft Database has Neighbors as the consensus, but only at 38%. I think in part because at number 5, again, it could be anything. And I would say I mentioned it when we talked about how much they love the running game. Again, there's just so much stuff coming out of that system, the coaching hire, the talking points that they are interested in building the offense around the running game. So I'm going to take another sprinkle here on Talise Fuaga at 30-1. And then besides the offensive line, Harbaugh is definitely a build through the trenches type of guy. And this is another fun little nugget. He has he reorganized the Chargers locker room, right? And he has up on everyone's
this is an
spot
excellent nugget
in the locker room is what how they were recruited in high school, what star prospect they were, what college they went to.
Yeah.
So basically, hey, we came from all these different places. And look, we're in the NFL. None of that means anything, blah, blah, blah. Also highlighting guys who came and really had to put in work. Who is a guy, Ryan, that really had to put in work to get to where he is? I mean, certainly there's a number of stories. The one I'm highlighting is former Albany Great Dane, Jared Verse, 75-1 defensive lineman, who started out with the Albany Great Danes, worked his way up to Florida State, worked his way up to probably becoming a first-round pick. I think he is the type of guy, if he was in the room with Harbaugh would like him. 75-1.
Came back from injury to play in a bowl.
Yeah.
And certainly. Yeah.
He's a football guy.
He's definitely a football guy. I like your, I mean, I'll give you credit, but I'll also take credit back. The Fuaga pick, him being the first tackle. I agree with that. I think he could be the pick here at 5, 100%. He's the like the lock it up road grader. He can play multiple positions.
I think he's probably a better run blocker than Joe Alt is, which again, Joe Alt's 6'9". I can't help but thinking, and he has a weakness to bull rushing. Like that doesn't strike me as a Chargers O line pick.
So I certainly think they could take the tackle here, but with the depth of the tackle class, I'm also going to sprinkle a receiver because with what they've done with poor Justin Herbert's targets this offseason, and short of him going out and getting Roman Wilson a couple rounds from now, yeah, Odunze is 16-1. I think the idea that the three receivers go off the board one like right in a row would not be shocking to me, but yeah. I think the pick that we're gonna as a brand stamp or put our flag down on is Fuaga. When Fuaga gets drafted, it's gonna be electric. I think regardless.
Well, because I think he could, and maybe I'll just end up betting him to go top 10 because I have him here for a number of different spots. But him to just go top 10 is now all the way down to plus 210. Which I don't
listen, dude.
I don't have the number off the top of my head, but that was definitely way higher earlier on in this process. So,
oh my God, he was a second round pick. Like he wasn't going to be like this. There were the tackle from Penn State, who now people have found picked apart a little bit. He was going to be the guy, and then it was not the tackle out of Washington who blocked for Penix. Yeah, a lot of guys. I do think Fuaga is very interesting with his athleticism and strength. Okay, yeah. So now the Giants are on the clock, Sean.
Oh wait, did you say you're a Odunze play as well?
Yeah, Odunze 16-1. I think you have to assume the Chargers. Whatever you think the Chargers are going to do, you got to put receiver number 2. To me, to
me, anything in the past games like not happening for them.
I agree with you.
But again, the market is the number 5 pick and not necessarily the Chargers.
I 100% agree with you, but locking up a receiver talent like Odunze, he's going to block. He's going to do everything you need him to do. He kind of fits the Harbaugh scheme.
Pac-12.
Oh wow.
A little sus.
Oh okay.
Well, for Jim Harbaugh, I have no issue.
He came from the Pac-12.
I have no issue.
He coached at Stanford. Are you kidding me?
Well, that's different than some of these programs.
So yeah, I think, and I will. Yeah, I think Odunze potential here, but yeah, lineman is that's the fun play, and that's what I'd be on big time.
Okay, we got the number 6 pick coming up, but before we get to that, shout out to Underdog Fantasy. I'm sure you're getting in on Underdog Fantasy for NBA Pick'em, especially for the play-in tournament. And this is pretty cool. If you're dragging your feet on Underdog, you haven't signed up already. First off, what are you waiting for? But they do have a little bonus action if you sign up between now and the morning of the 19th. They will do a special. They're going to have the Friday playing game on April 19th. If you sign up before the morning of that, of course, Underdog Fantasy.com promo code SGPN. They are going to have a special player entry there. Again, usually these are the ones that are like, hey, a half point on I don't know, LeBron James or something that they will probably get that you'll feel pretty good being able to add in your entry. Again, special should go live in the lobby for eligible new customers that sign up by the morning of the 18th. So sorry, it would then pop up the next day there. So get in by April 18th if you're dragging your feet. UnderdogFantasy.com promo code SGPN get you the 100% deposit bonus. Kramer, we are at pick number 6, currently owned by your New York Giants. Again, things get interesting here at 6. Could be the Giants. It could be the Vikings trading up to get JJ McCarthy. Could be just, maybe the Giants traded up and it's swapped out with the Cardinals or the Chargers. It really could get interesting here, or maybe it's just boring old Giants staying put, doing something safe, something predictable. I think I want to have a little action on both sides of that. I'll take Malik Neighbors is the favorite here at plus 145. I'll take a small sprinkle on that. I don't know. This one again this is a 6. This one is kind of tough to predict here because we're already down to 6. Things can get kind of wonky here, but I'll take Neighbors here at 6. And I think there's a real chance the New York Giants stay put and draft Oregon prospect Bo Nix at number 6. That one's a fun long shot at 50-1. So Neighbors, bit of the chalk at +145. Nix the long shot at 50-1.
There's 0% chance that's happening.
Okay.
Bo Nix.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe in the second round. Bo Nix is not going 6th in this draft.
He might go to the Giants
what
6th round.
What are you talking about?
Have you not seen the latest mocks that have the Giants taking Bo Nix?
At number 6? No.
Well, a lot
haven't
of people
seen those.
I mean, it would be crazy.
I don't
for
think
the New York
anyone's seen
Giants.
those. I don't think anyone's seen those.
It would be crazy for the New
Where
York
are you
Giants.
coming? 50-1. That's horrible value.
Oh well, we'll see, Ryan. We'll see.
This is horrible. What are you doing? You're throwing your mock drafting reputation.
No, this
in
is
the mud.
These are fun bets, Ryan. This is different than what my official mock will be.
Yeah. So no trade down.
And I can't decide whether I'm giving you guys Bo Nix or JJ McCarthy. I can't decide what you would be more pissed off about.
I'm not pissed. I mean, it's your mock draft.
You want
I
Drake
thought you
May.
took this stuff serious. There's all these listeners
You want
that
your
rely
buddy Drake May.
Well, I do think that receiver, the Giants may view receiver as a more likely scenario, but the receivers might be all gone in this scenario. There's been no trade ups. Drake May is sitting there, 12-1. Are you kidding me? Which, by the way, Sean, if you had been listening to us both here and on the VSiN show for a little while, you also I think have a Neighbors ticket in your pocket at 16 or 19-1.
Yeah. And
So-
he's 18-1 over on DraftKings.
Oh my goodness!
If you want to get that
Level
bonus
up.
value,
I would. I think this is. I do think this. If he's there, this is the pick. If he's there, this is the pick. He's also the guy they trade up for. I also think, Sean, if things don't go well, maybe if they go well and they do fancy Bo Nix in the second round, Giants trading down is not off the table. So. It could be electric, but in my world, no trade down. Drake, they get Drake May, who is loosely he's a combination of I don't know. He's got a little Josh Allen, got a little Herbert, little Mahomes in there with the fancy footwork, little Scotty Scheffler.
Kicking over to the number 7 pick. Titans currently hold that spot. Mock draft has him taking Joe Alt at 78% of mock drafts have him going Joe Alt.
That's tough for me. That's a tough one because they're kind of saying this is where the first lineman's going to go consensus, right?
Yeah, and I would still take another shot on Talese Foaga at +850 here.
Tennessee's not taking Joe Alt first. I kind of feel the same way with Callahan. Like I don't know if he's going to go Alt with his pick.
This one's tough because I've seen some Tennessee mock drafts having them take a receiver, which I don't know. That to me is kind of curious, just because I like they've already spent so much on the. I mean, they signed Calvin Ridley, they retained DeAndre Hopkins. You know, maybe you go off the grid here with Brock Bowers, but you do have Chigokonkwo.
It came to me like about 10 minutes ago. That Brock Bowers is in play. This team is pushing the chips in the middle of the.
They
table.
really are
in a weird way. So why are we so certain they're going to go get the offensive line guy when their coach is their head coach's dad, who's coaching the offensive line, is widely regarded as one of the best offensive line coaches. They would probably feel like they could coach guys up, and maybe they don't need to use the pick on the lineman. And I'm with you on Fuag. I would sprinkle that at +850, but Brock Bowers at 29-1.
Yeah, and
I'm gonna take a piece of that because that's a push all your chips in and see what you got with Will Levis kind of move.
Also, I think there's a chance Tennessee goes defense here, or at 7 is where we have our first defensive player drafted. The problem is I think it's just such a toss up.
It's a great call though because they lost their defensive coordinator. Obviously, they lost their whole coaching staff, but new system. Maybe you want to, bring in that pass rusher.
Yeah. And honestly, offensive lineman for the Titans to draft him at -350, wide receiver +350, tight end is 12-1, Ryan.
Why would you take 12-1 when you can get
take Bowers
29?
Defensive line edge at 7-1, I think is is kind of decent value because I could see them, and maybe it's cornerback. I've seen a couple crazier mock drafts, cornerbacks 40-1. So maybe that's the way you play it. But for now, since we're just doing the draft, in order here, I would keep it 7.
8. Interesting pick for me.
8. Yeah. Also very interesting. Of course, it is the Atlanta Falcons. 80% have them drafting Dallas Turner, edge rusher out of Alabama. Another guy who there's a decent number of decent number of knocks out on Dallas Turner. I wouldn't like betting him as the number 1 defensive player drafted. I do think they probably go defense, but let's look at the last 2 mock drafts published about the Falcons. Cooper DeJean and Quinyon Mitchell. Dallas Turner, Quinyon Mitchell. I think them going cornerback is not a bad value here. I took a sprinkle on Quinyon Mitchell at 14-1 and Cooper DeJean at 60-1 for the Falcons. So I just don't think it's as sure a thing here at Dallas Turner.
Why are we sure it's defense?
Yeah, I mean, you look at their position of first player drafted, defensive line, edge -210, cornerback +190. You're right. I mean, I think, or this is for the Falcons.
Yeah.
I think, again, new coaching staff, there's a ton of variables. So even especially with the new coaching staff, I think the long shots become that much more interesting. I played it with just taking a sprinkle on both these cornerbacks as long shots, but yeah.
So I kind of have come along to the idea that the Falcons could potentially trade down. I think people are slotting in a defensive guy because they assume
The slot. How's the
they
slot?
need a defensive guy. They spent all this on the offense, but if they don't feel like Dallas Turner's this lock it up kind of guy in the top 10, why wouldn't you trade back? Especially in my scenario, Sean, where JJ McCarthy is still on the board. Maybe this is where, I mean, the Vikings and the Falcons coaching staffs have a relationship. Maybe this is where they come up from 11-8, get their guy.
Yeah, I don't hate it. I mean,
I'm going JJ McCarthy 8, 14-1.
And walking through this, it makes me even feel better about the JJ McCarthy higher draft position at 5.5, because there's just a number of places for them to move up or even just stay put. There's also rumors that the Falcons could be in trouble here with the number 8 pick because of tampering.
Really?
And supposedly they're making
Kirk Cousins tampering.
Yeah, the Kirk Cousins tampering. And I was hearing our buddy Lombardi break this down. And so if they swap picks with the Vikings, that's essentially like a 3rd round penalty. So there's talk that maybe Vikings and Falcons end up swapping picks as part of the punishment. Now, the Vikings would have to make some sort of case that they were in the running for Kirk, that they would have been able to get him, and why would they get the benefit of it? I don't know. I'm just saying.
Can I tell you why I don't think anything's going to happen?
Okay.
I think you're everything becomes tampering then.
What do you mean?
Like, I feel like you're just going to have a shitload of cases like this.
Oh, I think the Falcons are 100% going to get punished.
Oh yeah, no. I'm just saying a big deal. You think they're going to swap first rounders?
I didn't say that. No, I don't think they're going to. I think it's a possibility. And if you looked at the draft trade chart,
no, I get that.
So I don't know.
I just don't think they want. You can't set a precedent with this kind of tampering. Otherwise, you're going to have a million cases every year. That would be my thing. Like, the NFL doesn't want this sauce, because I just think this happens every year. Kirk Cousins was tampered with. Okay, no shit.
Yeah, I mean, I think at the very least they're going to lose like a 3rd round pick.
Yeah, maybe, but it's not going to impact their 1st round pick. That would seem crazy to me.
Okay,
but it does help my bet, so I'm fine with it. 14-1.
No, I do think it creates some mild uncertainty. If I don't know. Read the articles on it, Ryan. There's enough smoke there that, again, I don't think 80% is crazy on Dallas Turner. The certainty there.
Well, especially because I don't know why you think I don't know why you're assuming they're going to take a defensive guy. Like, that's the part I don't quite get with the Falcons.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're more wide open than people think. Number 9 is currently the Chicago Bears. This is no one knows what they're going to do here at 9. Mock draft has Jared Verse as the consensus, but only at 10%. I mean, you poke around here on the Bears, and it's Jared Verse, Byron Murphy, Jerzan Newton, Fashanu, the Penn State offensive tackle, Marvin Harrison. Maybe he falls. There's Chop Robinson, the Penn State edge rusher, Brock Bowers, Dallas Turner, Odunze. So I do like the narrative that the Bears would do something maybe flashy to like try and add on to Caleb Williams. They are trying to sell a new stadium, but it's too tough for me to like predict what they would do, at least at the receiver. So Brock Bowers at 14-1, I think is interesting enough. They give Caleb Williams a new toy. We were talking to the Arlads guys. They were saying they run enough 12 personnel that they don't think, or enough multiple. It's the Seattle OC coming over or coming from the Seattle offense, that they run enough multiple tight end stuff that they would still be interested in Brock Bowers. And maybe the top 2 or 3 receivers have already gone at this point. And then Jerzan Newton is a local kid, pass rusher, supposedly a very good in the interior defensive line. And you see this all the time. Teams add strength on strength. He's 45-1. He could be a fun play here. So
coached up under Brett Bielema from the Joe Judge coaching tree.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
What are you doing here at 9, right?
I think the Bears are like very obviously taking a defensive lineman, and I think the kid Newton you're talking about had an incredible pro day today.
Yes,
and so there's a little bit of buzz being generated by it. But in the version of in my draft, Dallas Turner's still out there.
Yeah, he's 6-1.
And to your point, with whether it's Verse, whether it's Turner. Maybe you're right. I saw a 7-1 out there for Turner. Maybe it's an interior, but I do think it's going to be a D lineman. And I wonder if they're sitting there like being with the opportunity to draft their top pass rusher or one of the stud receivers still out there, whether it's Brock Bowers or Odunze potentially. Do you think they trade down? They don't trade down, right? A lot of people seem to think that second pick, they're just going to trade down to keep getting more assets. And to me, if you can get the top pass rusher on the board here, that's the move. And I think that we saw the tackles last year. They kind of were coming on. I don't think they draft an offensive lineman. They brought in some receiver depth. Maybe they take a receiver, but yeah, I'm with you. Dallas Turner 7-1 feels like a nice play here. Maybe you also sprinkle, Newton just because it's a nice long price.
45-1. Come on.
But yeah, I do think that like this is Bears taking a quarterback and a defensive lineman. That feels like a lock in the first round.
Last one of that we're going to break down here. Of course, before we get to that, shout out to Unified Health. That's right. Talking a little Unified Health, Unified Healing. Whether you're a world-class athlete or a podcaster like me, we all understand the importance of mental and physical well-being, proper recovery for top-notch performance. So I'm excited that Unified Healing is sponsoring this episode of our NFL draft props. That's right. These guys are getting ready to play in the NFL. You need a ton of quick recovery if you're in the NFL. Unified Healing is a new and super innovative global network of wellness centers powered by Energy Enhancement System, or EE System. If you haven't heard of EE System yet, you'll want to listen up. This technology promotes wellness, deep relaxation, purification, and rejuvenation. Whether you're here in LA or hundreds of other locations across the globe, access to the center is easy and affordable. Interested in experiencing the EE System technology for yourself? Go to unifiedhealing.com/SGPN to learn more and find a center near you. That's UNIFYD healing.com/SGPN. No materials or testimonials on the Unified Healing website are intended to be viewed as medical advice or a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of your physician or other qualified healthcare provider with any questions you may have regarding medical condition or treatment before undertaking a new healthcare regimen, including EE System. Jets are at number 10, Ryan.
Well, real quick update. I just saw a market move. Fuaga up to 10-1 to be the first lineman taken.
Oh, okay.
It just seems like something we're just going to be on.
Yes,
Very exciting.
100%.
Yeah. So I
Right now, consensus.
you're a little bit more in left field than I am. I feel like
Brock
there.
Bowers 58% for the Jets.
So I don't really have Odunze going yet.
Yeah,
And so I do think that there's no way he can fall past this spot. I actually think someone's trading up for Odunze if he's not. Like maybe the Jets trade, maybe it's a pick earlier with the Bears and they trade down a spot or something like that. But I think Odunze's got to be the pick. If Bowers is still there, it probably is. I guess as silly as it seems, maybe it is the way that you push all in and you appease your new leader, Aaron Rodgers. The stuff that I mean, if you've not dug in a little bit on the Aaron Rodgers Jets relationship, like just the weirdness of the building, it's clearly fucking weird. And he clearly has way too much power.
Yeah.
So they're going to give him a target here. I think that would be my take on it. Odunze's 7-1.
yeah. I keep going back and forth, but I do think. I mean, they still got like a lot of questions there. I mean, I get they signed Tyron Smith there for left tackle, but he's getting up there.
He gets hurt all the time.
You even look at their offensive line right now. Elijah Vera Tucker's questionable. Morgan Moses.
So who's the who's the guy they take here?
Yeah, I took a little bit of a long shot here with J.C. Latham, the Alabama offensive tackle. I think he's an interesting prospect.
I don't think that's a long shot anymore.
No, I mean, Will Brinson has him going at 10. There's a number of guys who have him now in the top 10. So him going top 10, I'm going to pull up his top 10.
So basically the way the consensus lineman rankings have settled down, it's Alt, then a little bit of a tier, Fuaga, and then a little bit of a tier, and then Fatanu, Latham, and Fashanu. All kind of right there.
I think it's a little bit of a crapshoot. And this offensive lineman is like cornerback, where it kind of depends on the scheme. It kind of depends on the guys you like. Latham as a top 10 pick is only 6-1. Why not get 3 times the value here and take him going 10 at 18-1? I struggle to see him getting up to 8 or 7, 8 or 9. So if you think he's going to sneak in that 10 there.
What is the price for the Jets to take a lineman? Do you have that? I'm going to pull it to you.
Well, that market's been changing, right?
Well, the reason I say that is because I want to do some quick. All right, so they're favorites to take a lineman first.
Yeah.
What? My whole brain is just broken right now.
So maybe, yeah, I mean, I don't think they're going to be taking the first offensive lineman. So if you agree with that assessment that they are going to be taking offensive linemen, shouldn't we be trying some of these offensive linemen at 10?
So yeah, assuming they don't trade down or trade out, Fashanu 650, Fuaga 650, Fatanu 850, Latham 11-1.
So yeah, DK has an 18-1. So
okay, a little steeper there. Yeah, I don't know what I would say. I don't hate that angle. If I was a Jets fan, that's probably the position I would want. Yeah. But I think they're going to give Aaron what they're not going to take a lineman.
No. I don't know. I honestly don't know the dynamic there. But again, it's tough to
So a guy who a guy who used to cover the Giants, who now covers the Jets, went on a Giants podcast just to chop it up and kind of was reflecting on some of the differences. And Aaron Rodgers is more of a deity than he is one of the guys, which just tells me they're not like I'll be shocked. I'll be shocked if they don't take a receiver.
I was a bit of a tease last year's Hard Knocks, like watching all this Aaron Rodgers Jets shit and then not even getting to see how it plays out. It was the ultimate football blue balls. I mean, I think Aaron Rodgers is good, but I obviously thought the story was interesting and wanted to see what would you didn't get to see what happened.
He is good, and I think he will be good with the receivers. And you didn't even bring up the most important part about the reason they end up taking the lineman. That silly offense that Nathaniel Hackett runs is so damn complicated. Brock Bowers and Odunze is not going to get up to speed in time. So just take the lineman.
All right, Ryan, let's give out a lock and a dog of these props that we've given out.
Caleb Williams first pick.
For me, my lock, Drake May, number 3 at -130. Ryan, you have one. You have Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels at -275, and then nothing less than 7 to 1.
I'm not gonna disrespect people with that kind of nonsense. I'll say my lock. Boy, I really want to lock in this JJ McCarthy in the 8th spot.
Okay.
I do think that, and now that you've told me this potential pick swap scenario, it only gives me more. It doesn't have to. It's a forced trade, not an actual trade. Dog. Well, I think we're both onto something with this Fuaga angle.
Yeah.
And I think for him to be a Jim Harbaugh guy.
Yes.
Yes, please.
Yes, I'm with you.
Can you imagine them just like Harbaugh getting down into the 3-point stance and just?
Oh yeah, come on.
Has he slept over with him yet? I couldn't find any record of it. Was he invited to the camper?
No, I mean those guys sitting around the campfire. They're not talking about passing the ball. They're talking about running it right down the opponent's throat. Smash mouth football. Shout out to David Motola in the chat, just saying I am drunk. Shout out to you, David. Appreciate you checking in. Saw Brad Ward checking in as well. He thought I was a little early on verse. Yeah, it's 75 to 1. Cannabis Capper saying latest rumor on the Bears is to trade down with Indy and take JC Latham. I don't know. I think I'm with you, Ryan. I think there's going to be less trades than people think.
There's always so many. See, here's the thing. These mock draft guys, their favorite thing to say is, all right, I decided to do my mock draft with trades this year. That's it. That's the moment. So yeah, it seems like it's usually like that. We usually have less trades than we're expecting. I mean, last year, great example. And I think when you kind of sit down and just rationally look at the quarterback prospects, 2 guys floated to the top. 1 guy needs more development, and 1 guy has a high floor but a low ceiling. And I don't think there's going to be as much demand as there will be for the receivers. And I think, hopefully we're right about it. But the linemen in this class, it'll be interesting to see if anyone clamors from that much. But I will say, take the Charger, even if you're not just taking the Fuaga to the 5th for the 5th pick. Take the Chargers to take him, because Sean, I don't know if you've seen it since we started talking about this. Like 30 minutes ago, some Chargers fan site just put out a thing on Fuaga could be the better fit for the Chargers scheme. So I'm going to pull up that price too. What do you? Because it does seem like they're going to take a lineman.
Who?
Chargers.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
No, I know. So what? Let's see.
Joe Alt's plus 475. I mean, we didn't give him out there, but
do we have Chargers to take Fuaga? That's what we need to. I don't think that's
those markets aren't out yet. But again, we got a ton more NFL draft props. Of course, our live drafts special. Watch along with us. YouTube.com/sportsgamblingpodcast when the actual NFL draft happens. We got that. We got more NBA playoff picks coming up tomorrow night.
We should see if Juju wants to join the live stream. I mean,
thank you for participating in the Sports Gambling Podcast.
We're uncensored.
For the Sports Gambling Podcast, I'm Sean, stacking the money green. He's Ryan.
Vienna sausages.
Kramer. Let it ride.